I'll start my talk with a 1-minute intro to my work.
Thousands of tons of food grains and fresh produce are lost each year in India due to lack of modern storage facilities and transparent market processes, leading to malnutrition, hunger and poverty. SIGO has developed modern grain bins, micro-market yards, an agro-cluster and stakeholder maps for farmers in India. While cluster maps show crop data for all agri-commodities, stakeholder maps are mobile, map-driven directories of producers, agribusinesses and research institutions. Nearly 67% of Indian MSMEs lack digital footprint. Mapping of stakeholders will improve food supply chain linkages, ensure transparency in transaction costs, and reduce price fluctuations. Our solutions will plug infrastructure gaps, help government and private sector deliver better input to farmers, thereby promoting smart governance. This will stem post-harvest losses, prevent distress sale of crops, and help farmers get better prices.
So I'd like to begin my talk with a quote from Gandhiji, who said, "There are people in the world so hungry that God cannot appear to them except in the form of bread." India is soon going to be the #1 country in the world in terms of population. In 2015, India's population was 130 crores or 1.31 billion, and forecasters predict that by 2021, India and China's population will equal 141 crores or 1.41 billion, and that by the end of 2050 will touch 168 crores or 1.68 billion. This means that in the next 3 coming decades, we are going to add 37 million crores or 370 million individuals to our population base. To feed this massive population base, we need to not only improve our agriculture production and increase yields, but also find ways to save the harvest that we are currently producing. Between 1998 and 2012, India incurred food losses totaling 6,38,000 metric tons or 638,000 metric tons of food grains at its storage facilities. If this food were to be saved, it would have fed 42 lakh or 4.2 individuals for one single year. Further, the present value of these food losses when indexed to inflation totaled 700 crores. India also incurs huge food losses with its annual production of fruits and vegetables each year due to lack of food processing units and cold storage facilities at source. A 2013 study pegged these food losses at 2 lakh crores or $28.5 billion each year. So what we need is a 3-part comprehensive solution to stem food losses and reduce hunger and malnutrition in India through flat-bottom farm bins, which will deliver storage facilities for farmers on rental basis, aggregate food hubs or Gramin Kalyan Kendra, which will deliver world-class market infrastructure in rural areas, and agri-cluster maps, which will plug fragmented supply chain linkages in the agriculture and food processing sector. But first, let's talk about food losses. Food losses take place in developing nations due to inefficiencies within the food supply chain, such as fragmented supply chain linkages, poor warehousing infrastructure, lack of access to markets, and tardy logistics, which result in the food being exposed to natural elements such as rain or excessive sunshine, and this renders the food inedible for human consumption. Now, tackling the challenge of food losses is the most economical solution to ensuring food security for future generations. So that brings us to the next question. What is food supply chain? Food supply chain refers to a series of processes such as production, processing, distribution, consumption, and disposal, which are involved in the movement of food from farms to households. Food moves from farmers to end consumers in a batch process in one direction, and money paid by end consumers moves in the reverse direction to people who are involved in various stages of the food supply chain. Since food supply chain refers to a series of linkages involving people who facilitate the movement of food in one direction and the flow of money in the reverse direction, the entire chain is disrupted when one link is subject to stress. So that brings us to the next part of the talk, which is the solutions. So the first solution that we are working on is flat-bottom farm bins, which will be located around a cluster of 5 to 10 villages, and they will deliver value addition services to small and marginal farmers at source through cleaning, grading, sorting, and storing of food grains in rural areas. Farmers can store their food grains on rental basis for 3 to 6 months and retain post-harvest ownership. Further, they can pledge finance this stored harvest and finance their next crop cycle. When market prices appreciate, they can sell this pledge financed harvest and repay their loans. Further, these bins will serve as storage hubs for government-sponsored public distribution schemes, and this will ensure food security for the farmer and his family for the rest of the year. Some of the benefits: farmers will save time and money during post-harvest season. Secondly, food processing units such as flour mills and bakeries will provide employment opportunities for youth in rural areas, and this will have a monetary multiplier effect on the local economy. Further, government procurement of food grains for public distribution schemes will take place in a staggered and cost-effective manner, and this will reduce government expenditure and result in lower taxes for all of us. The second solution is an aggregate food hub, which are micro-commerce hubs located around these warehousing solutions, and they will offer value addition services through banks, ICT facilities to designate market and weather information, solar-powered renewable energy component, agri-extension services such as soil testing labs, and wash bins and bays where farmers can grade, sort, and improve earnings of their fruits and vegetables and sell it through localized procurement. So the benefits of this would be that farmers would save time and money from going to the mandi and coming back. They would also get better prices because of value addition at source. They will be able to procure agri inputs and extension services under one roof within a radius of 10 kilometers. And most importantly, solar-powered renewable energy component will ensure 24/7, 365 operation of water purification systems, which will ensure clean drinking water to the local community. And the third component is agri-cluster maps. So these are last-mile online mobile map-driven directories of stakeholders and commodities within agriculture and food processing sector. These maps essentially reorganize fragmented information about consumers, producers, and stakeholders, connect millions of producers and stakeholders from base of the pyramid segment, and connect stakeholders with multiple clients and vendors on a single page. In India, we use a lot of qualifiers for addresses. If you've ever written an address, you will see that we use qualifiers such as far, next to, behind, diagonally opposite. We also have a tendency to change the addresses change the names of districts and streets and sometimes even states. And that causes a great confusion between people who are used to a particular place. So how do you plug this problem? And how do you make sense of an address and know that you've finally arrived at your true destination? So what you can do is you can geotag an address, which is assignment of location information using latitude and longitude to a data record such as an address. And this will help plug the digital gaps. And when you have a stakeholder map, which is a reference map or a base map, and these base maps are basically maps that we use every day, which have roads or physical features to identify stuff, and they serve as a backdrop for digitally rendered map pins. And those points are basically those map pins which help you locate a particular individual on a single page. The next is the commodity maps. These are thematic maps used to show geographic data observations. So this is a map of tomato production in the country, and you see the areas that are shaded in dark are the ones which have the highest production. And these are the interactive statistics. And I'll give you a flavor of this in the next slide. So we're looking at the wheat map, and this is country-wise or state-wise production, and you see the wheat production. You have the interactive statistics which tell you area of production, volume of production, and yield per hectare. And the area of production and volume of production doesn't necessarily mean a high yield. This is by state, by district, and the polygon represents data about the production, the ranking, and also it's got an image and a URL of the district which will take you right to the page that you are looking for. This is a map of sugarcane production in my state in UP, and if you see, these are the sugar mills in the country. So if you plug on any of the data points, that will tell you information, they'll give you information about the sugar mill, how much tons crushed per day capacity. And this is a nice way to connect with people who may not be part of the digital print. This is a map about the mandis in the country. There are 3,200 mandis in the country, and a URL for the Mandi Parishad will locate you down to the URL. This is about the food processing.
ये आजकल के राइटर्स में वो पहली वाली बात ही नहीं है।
ये लो पार्ले जी, वही पहले वाली बात।
What we are trying to do here is, you don't need a website, you may not need an IT developer, you don't need SEO optimization, you don't need keyword search. All you need is a 30-second jingle that you can upload on a video sharing platform, and you can plug it through the data point, and you can compete with the high and the mighty. So that's one way of plugging the digital gaps that we currently have in the country. So this is a map of fertilizer consumption in the country and the fertilizer companies. And you can see that states like Punjab, Haryana and Andhra Pradesh are the highest users of fertilizers per hectare, which is something alarming, and it allows you to appreciate this data in greater light. So this is a map of approximately 3,200 mandis in the country, and just listing of 3,200 data points on a page takes around 30 pages. But when you geotag these mandis and you map them on a single page, what you're effectively doing is you're connecting producers with end consumers on a single page. And when you do that, you reduce the number of layers of intermediaries. And when that happens, you increase the throughput at fruit and vegetable market yards. And this leads to improved asset capacity utilization between logistics hubs, warehouses and retail chains, which reduces your inventory levels and your advertising budgets. And when you align supply with demand, what you're effectively doing is you are plugging food losses across the food supply chain. This is a map of the 21 river basins in the country, and I've also layered the information about irrigation hubs, hydroelectric stations, barrages, canals. This is not a full extent of the inventory, but there's lots more to be plugged. But this just gives you a flavor of the river basins and the natural water resources that are available in the country, the hydroelectric stations. And when you share this information with the farmer, he will be able to better appreciate details about irrigation as to when the water is going to be released, because irrigation is one of the major expense heads for a farmer after fertilizer. This is a map of the allocation of electricity by various states to agriculture and the electricity companies and the regulators. So when you look at this map and you drill down and you input more details, you will have a complete picture as to the energy sector in the country. And when you share this information with the farmer and tell him why he is not getting electricity for his fields or for his houses, he will be able to understand the problem, the bigger picture. And that's what you can do with one single page. Now, in 2014-15, India imported $3 billion worth of pulses from countries such as Canada and Myanmar. And when you align such data, you can see a correlation. And this will help you figure out the state-wise production along with the imports. So when this disconnected data sets are aligned together, you can, as a policymaker, decide on the production, on the market, and the import policies on one single page. So, three good elements for idea include market audience, sustainability, and the impact. And the first of this is base of the pyramid, which is the market share. Globally, 4 billion people on the face of the earth make less than $8 a day. And they are excluded from formal markets and are primarily known as base of the pyramid. Now, Africa, Asia, and Latin America alone total 94% of this population. And India and China alone account for 60% of the population. 70% of this population is dependent on agriculture for livelihood, such as through small-scale farmers, cultivators, and entrepreneurs. Now, this base is the fastest growing consumer market. It's an underutilized productive sector and a huge source of untapped entrepreneurial energy. When you engage this base of the pyramid segment, you are not only reducing poverty, but you're also driving broader economic growth. The impact, there are 4 components to impact. The economic impact is that base of the pyramid households spend anywhere from 50 to 70% of their income on their household budgets. And when you reduce the food losses, you improve the supplies of clean, nutritious food, and that makes food affordable to everyone. It curbs price volatility and makes food affordable to everyone. When that happens, poor households will have more money to spend on other essentials such as clean water, hygiene, sanitation, housing, transportation, and this will have a positive cascading effect on a whole lot of social problems such as 15.2% malnutrition among masses, 1.2 million children dying under the age of 5, and 11,000 farmer suicides each year. From an environmental standpoint, the impact would be that increased farm incomes would help farmers use better agri inputs, and that will have a good effect on soil, water and air. And the gender equality impact would be that women lack access to land rights, information, credits, and they work twice as hard and earn less than men. If they have access to flat bottom farm bins, aggregate food hubs and agri-cluster maps, they will have information which will allow them to reach new markets, credits and improve their incomes. Now, the third and the most important component of any good idea is sustainability. And sustainability for revenue sources are through storage of grains, either through selling at market price or through forward contracts, which will allow them to appreciate and get better prices. For the data as a source, when you aggregate information about agri inputs and you share that with farmers, they can drive bargains and get better inputs for their farms. In the process, they can also share this information about crop production data, and that can be made available to procurement managers at convenience stores, retail stores, food processing entities and hotels and restaurants. So that will be a revenue source, and that can be shared with the farmers, which isn't happening at the moment. Finally, warehousing solutions, value addition services, government services and data as a source will generate new streams for farmer and improve their incomes. So in the end, I would summarize by saying that we need to revamp our food supply chains and plug food losses, and that rests on a simple keystroke, which is Control-Z, or undo what is unacceptable and bring change. We weren't producing enough in the 1960s. We aren't saving enough now. A young country that is dependent on agriculture makes the mantra Jai Jawan, Jai Kisan more relevant than ever before. Thank you.